my niece, Allison Lussier, was murdered in the North Loop in February 17th of 2024. She was beaten by her partner. Previously, Allison had 7 documented 911 calls, many of which he tortured her. He chained her up to a toilet for days. He beat her, he tortured her. He almost bit off her thumb at one point. Not one of these things were ever sent up for charging by Minneapolis PD. This guy was on the enhanced list, meaning that he had 2 prior convictions for domestic violence calls against prior past girlfriends or partners. We are currently sitting here because Minneapolis PD failed to do a full investigation because my niece was an addict. They failed to investigate her death as a homicide from the moment that they showed up. From the fact is that they simply didn't do a full investigation. They didn't pull video camera coverage of the apartment building, of any of the surrounding buildings in the North Loop. They didn't ever find her phone. They never pinged her phone. There was a 911 call made from a homeless encampment from some guy that this Chuck Foss was going back to the homeless encampment, stating that he thought he hit her too hard this time and he killed her. Minneapolis PD never even put yellow tape on her apartment to keep anybody out. So they simply didn't investigate this as a homicide. We waited for 7 weeks for the autopsy report to come back because they thought it was possibly going to come back as a drug overdose. It came back that she died of a subdural hematoma, which is blunt force trauma to her head. It is currently sitting up here on the desk of Mary Moriarty for charging. Unfortunately, Minneapolis PD did not do this as an investigation. They didn't ping her phone. They didn't, to this day, didn't even pull the phone records. So it was turned in, her phone was turned in, I think 2 to 3 weeks after her death by some random women that took the phone away from Chuck Foss, the man that beat her to death. So currently we're sitting here with no charging, no nothing. And we are demanding that Chief O'Hare and the Department of Justice open up an investigation, the BCA open up an investigation into Minneapolis PD and why they did not do an investigation on this Indigenous woman, especially when we know that we are less than 1% of the population, but yet we go missing or murdered 10 times any other race in this country. We are demanding justice, and we are not going to sit down because this is going to continuously happen. Minneapolis PD needs to get called to the carpet. Chief O'Hare, you need to do your job.
Yes.